Alright, we are recording. Hello everyone, my name is Crystal and this is Exist in Love. I am just so thrilled that you have found my channel. I have been just working away behind the scenes on all the beautiful details of everything and just following my intuition so I could really come to this space ready to serve whoever feels in alignment with my energy and to really cultivate the space that I have intended to create here. So yeah, I'm just so excited to be here and to share the wisdom and the gifts that have just been waiting to pour through. So welcome. I want to begin this channel and just this upcoming month with an astrology overview, mostly focused on July, but I do want to, because I've never, this is the first kind of video I'm doing here, I want to touch back a little bit on the beginning of the year and talk about the future that we are moving into. This is a really profound year. 2025 is a 9-year, which represents endings and beginnings. So that I have noticed in the collective and personally that has been a huge theme of endings and beginnings. A song that specifically has been kind of a reminder of that it's called The End of Beginning by, I think, DJO, and that's just kind of like the song of the vibe of the year for me. And just really like kind of trusting that fall that we're kind of feeling throughout this year of like, it's that continuous surrender, that continuous like rebirth and death and rebirth and death, and that continuous shedding to deepen our connection to ourselves, to deepen our connection to authenticity and how we show up in the world, and almost like deep within how we want to connect with others is like, I think those like deep soul urges are starting to be revealed and tapped into in a way that is actually like tangible. Yes. So I do want to just touch back on the beginning of this year. We had Neptune move into Aries on March 30th. So that was a really powerful shift. If any of you journal, it might be a good date to kind of look back on at where you were at. For me personally, that was a big time of like going through kind of this hermit mode, this internal phase, and starting to come out of that shell very, very, very slowly. Anyways, so that was just a very like, I don't want to say confusing time, but it was just like a very like Piscean, like Neptune and Pisces, just very dreamy, very like can get caught up in illusion, can get caught up in escapism, can kind of get caught up in like putting your head in the sand, kind of like not fully like allowing yourself to reveal to yourself what is keeping you stuck or what is not truly in alignment with you. So we could have seen a big shift in the last year of just like moving away from things that aren't serving us, kind of emitting heart truths to ourselves. And that shift from Neptune in Pisces to Neptune in Aries is this like, okay, I get to choose, like I get to like move my life forward and like starting to see more clearly and kind of like lifting that fog to allow us to like show up more authentically. Yeah. Yeah. I was just like, do I have anything else to say about that? What next? Okay, and then we also have Saturn that moved from Pisces into Aries on May 24th. So mind you, both of these planets moved over the anaretic degree, the 29th degree, which is just represents a very like potent point, especially in the sign of Pisces, because it's the accumulation of all the signs, and so that's like a wrapping up of karma and lessons and like closing some really like big doors. And I don't want to say especially, but like especially for planets that have been in a sign longer, I feel like we kind of feel that on a big scale. But I've just noticed how it's very interesting that we have the North Node in Pisces, and we also have Neptune and Saturn moving kind of back and forth from Pisces into Aries throughout the year. And so these signs could really maybe feel these shifts, and I'm sure the other cardinal signs and water signs too. Yeah, potent stuff happening. So, okay, so sorry, I had to take a little pause there, but to just talk about that Neptune energy moving from Pisces to Aries. Pisces is like this deep surrender, and when you can actually like lean into that surrender, if you do or you don't, the planets are gonna move. So, but going from Pisces into Aries, it's like, okay, that deep surrender, and then that newness, that taking your power back, and going from kind of not really even understanding where the power is to understanding it comes from within, and really starting to understand that on like a visceral level, where we release what we think is going to happen or what should happen or what we thought life was going to look like, so that we can really come into authentic alignment with what is truly meant with us. But that means really like letting go of mindsets, old relationships, old money, old careers, old people, places, and things, so that we can really step into alignment. Some powerful stuff. I mean, Neptune and Saturn kind of going back and forth between Aries and Pisces is a really powerful combination, and I kind of want to take some time to talk about the retrogrades we're going to be experiencing in July in regard to Neptune and Saturn. So, like I said, they've been kind of doing this dance between Pisces and Aries, and they'll continue to do this dance, and it all connects, and it's really cool. So just try to stick with me. But July 4th, so we're going to get into July now. July 4th, we have Neptune retrograding in Aries, and that's going to reach the 0 degree in Aries on September 14th, meaning it's going backwards, and it's going to hit 0 degrees in Aries. And Aries represents, it is the first sign of the zodiac, and 0 degrees is 0 degrees. So it's like very much beginning, like a burst of energy, fire sign, like in your face. But the fact that Neptune is retrograding back over Aries at 0 degrees, I feel like September 14th from October 22nd is the time frame of when we're going to have Neptune at 0 degrees in Aries, okay? So that's going to represent what is basically blocking us from fully stepping into that, like, that Fool energy, that that jumpstart that like that exciting like beginning, you know? So yeah, we're really going to be kind of looking at what is blocking us from stepping into that fully from September 14th to October 22nd, and like really kind of facing like whatever those things are for each of us. And I do want to talk about, there's a lot happening. There's a ton of happening. So just stick with me here. But I do want to make a note of the Saturn retrograde we're going to be having as well, beginning on July 13th in Aries. So the reason I want to talk about these together is because Saturn is such like a very much disciplined, grounded, like do the hard work sign, and Neptune in retrograde is very much a sign of like dreaminess, can be illusions, can be really powerful creativity as well, which is also noted with Neptune specifically in Pisces. But in combination, them working together, pretty much, I mean, they're kind of bouncing around these two signs. But I think they kind of balance each other out in a way that's like Saturn being this really grounded sign and then Neptune kind of being this more dreamy planet. I feel like, well, and I also want to note that Neptune going in retrograde is a very powerful time for any illusions to be shattered. Anything that is blocking us, like I said, from stepping fully into that path, that is something that can really, and we have this every year, this Neptune retrograde, for 5 months. It's like this really deep, more like internal assessment that allows us to like really more align with like truth, authenticity, like really at a soul level. And I've noticed it just continued to build each year, like internally, personally, I've noticed that build like during that Neptune retrograde period. Anywho, so yeah, I just thought it was really cool how Saturn and Neptune are kind of like moving, not together, but in similar ways, and how I'm just kind of noting how they may impact each other. But so overall, just what I want to say about that is like that, okay, we have Neptune in retrograde, and that's going to be breaking these illusions, making things more clear, and really challenging us to, well, because of other influences as well, challenge us to kind of really go internal, and it's going to be very like, in a way, subtle too. Like, I think all year it's been this build of like tapping deeper into ourselves, right? And then it's kind of making us go back and be like, okay, like, where is that still not fully clicking? Where is that still not fully aligning? And I just think Saturn is going to have a really beautiful impact on Neptune, and being able to make those Neptunian, like, to be able to make what is being shown to us through the Neptune influence, to be able to make those changes more tangible. Yes, that's what I want to say. So that's really powerful and impactful. Okay, so again, September 14th to October 22nd, we're on that 0 degree, and we're seeing, okay, what is not fully allowing us to like step into this path fully? Like whatever new things we got going on or want to launch or are starting in our lives, or etc. Okay, moving forward, we have October 22nd, we have Neptune moving from the 0 degree to the 29th degree of Pisces. And the 29th degree is an anaretic degree, meaning it's a very karmic degree. It's like the end degree. So it's a closing up of cycles and just like a really deep wrapping up of things. And especially being in the sign of Pisces, being the last sign of the zodiac, that is a really powerful combination to be had. Also because Neptune just spent many years in Pisces, and it just moved into Aries in the beginning of this year, and now it's making its way back to Pisces, and hitting that 29th degree and staying there for some time. And that's kind of Neptune's last dance, if you will, with Pisces, this last moment in the most intense degree it could be in. And it's kind of this, I think, opportunity from October 22nd to December 10th that is going to be the moment of like shedding and releasing and really like closing up and tying up whatever it is that we need to let go of. It's like, okay, you just had this time period to like see all the things that we need to change, and now it's like, all right, like actually release them. When we kind of lean back into that Piscean 29th degree, it's like, all right, we actually got to do it now. Okay, so then we have Neptune going direct on December 10th. Wait, is that true? Yes, that's true. Okay, so Neptune is going direct in Pisces on December 10th. This is a moment of, in my opinion, in my studies, this moment of like, I guess, well, it depends. It really, like, astrology really depends on how you choose to work with the energies. But I do want to say that it can be a moment of, okay, we just were going retrograde in the 29th degree, and now we're moving forward in the 29th degree, and it's showing you everything you release. It's almost leaving this like internal sacred gift of space, of peace, of clarity, of like release. And I think the more that you lean into that surrender when we're retrograding at the 29th degree, the more the universe will kind of like mirror that in its gifties. It's in, yeah, that's what I want to say. So then we have a moment of Neptune sitting at this 29th degree from December 10th to January 26th, which I think represents this, I don't want to call it a void. I think it's more of just like a space, a moment, where we're kind of saying goodbye to Pisces and like in gratitude and in thanks and in healing energy of like, wow, like thank you for all these beautiful lessons. I think it really is like a moment to honor kind of what Neptune and Pisces taught us. Yes. And I think that's what December 10th to January 26th will be. It's just this like, this sacred pause and gratitude of like all of the beautiful lessons, the hardships, the good, the bad, the in-between. And I want to note that Neptune going direct in Pisces and moving into Aries officially, like in January of 2026, is going to be this moment to feel and then to rise, to leave the cocoon. I actually wrote a poem when we had Neptune originally move into Aries on March 30th. That was called the cocoon. So I'd be interested if you guys would like to like hear that, because I feel like that is, I'm wondering, I don't think I have the journal that it's in with me, but that is very representative of just kind of like the cycles we were moving through. And I think I will share my poetry down the line at some point, so that I'm sure there's messages in those as well for everyone. Anyways, let's keep going. Yeah, so then officially we'll be moving into that Aries energy again on January 26th at 0 degrees. And this is the rise. This is like the really stepping forward, the really stepping into our gifts and into our past in a more authentic way, which is super exciting. And again, we have that like Saturn influence too, helping us make it real. Let's see what else I want to talk about. Yeah, that Saturn retrograde is much shorter though. It goes from July 13th to September 1st. Okay, so what else? Next I want to talk about, give me 2 seconds, peoples. We got the full moon, we got Mars conjunct Virgo, yep, big stuff. We got Juno moving direct. Okay, so let's talk about Uranus and Gemini. We have Uranus and Gemini. We have Uranus moving into Gemini from Taurus on July 7th. So I just want to note, from a numerology perspective, we are moving into a 7th month. We have Uranus, which I believe is the 7th planet, and it is changing signs in the 7th month on the 7th day. So I just wanted to note that little angel number there, 777. Definitely a portal day. Definitely a powerful day to set intentions, especially for the next 7 years. I'm pretty sure it changes signs every 7 years too. Okay. So I want to note that 7 is a very divine, like divinely guided number. I mean, everything to me is like divinely guided and spiritual, but this number specifically, I think, really connects us to the divine. For example, when I was in my personal 7 year, well, when we were, let me start over. When we were in a 7 year, I think I was also in a 7 year. Is that right? Yeah, because I'm a number 9, so I think I'm the year. Yeah. Anyways, so when I was in a 7 year, personally, the only point I'm trying to make is that it was just like this very deep, like internal, no matter what was going on, what relationships I had, no matter what, like it was like forcing me to surrender to the divine and really forcing me to get clear with my intuition and my guides, and connecting me deeper to my gifts. And I feel like collectively a 777 portal like this, and just in general moving into the 7th month within a 9 year, this is what I want to talk about, which is interesting. I just had that reflection about me being a number 9 and having the 7th year. But now we're in a 9 year. Anyways, so my point being is that 9 is a very powerful number in the fact of like the endings and beginnings, and next year is 10-1, which is the restart. 369 related to like the pyramids and all that stuff. 3 being like beginning and like one chapter, 6 being the next, and 9 being the next. 6 always feels like this like in between, like obviously balancing number, and that's kind of how this year has felt, is like all of this energy has built up into June, and now we're in June, and it's like, well, when I'm recording this video, we're in June, and now 7 I feel like is this like full on surrendering to like the unknown and into the rest of the year that I think will unfold in a very divinely guided way. So anyways, moving into Uranus and Gemini, I feel like, well, not I feel like, this is a collective shift. I think it's going to take time to root. I think it will take time for us to see the results, because Uranus is in a sign for like a longer period of time, like multiple years. So I believe, again, 7 years. So I think in that halfway point, we'll start to like really see shifts, like noticeable shifts, but I think it will be more subtle until then. But starting to see shifts in our communication, maybe even in technology, things that have to do with the sign of Gemini, as Uranus represents a planet that is very rebellious, very like abrupt changes and innovation. It kind of reminds me of like tower energy, but like a little more like grounded than that. I don't know if I want to say that, but just, yeah, it's just like this, like, I don't know, it's just like a powerful energy. It's just like this, like, ooh, didn't see that coming, but it's not necessarily like bad. But everything has duality to it, right? So, but yeah, I definitely think we will see shifts in communication, in the way that, like, our society is communicating, but also like on an internal level too. But Gemini is also like the two sides. So I think having Uranus in a sign like Gemini will be very interesting. And we're moving from earth to air as well. So I think that's definitely going to have a very different feel to it than maybe how we felt with having Uranus and Taurus. I think things, especially since we have the influence of Pluto and Aquarius, I think things, and then we're having all this like Aries energy too. Like that's a lot of air and a lot of fire. So I think we're going to be feeling that, and I think we're going to be feeling things moving faster. And you know, that makes me think of, you know, this 777 energy, this spiritual energy, kind of connected to this opening of Uranus and Gemini. We might even see a shift in our telepathy, our spiritual gifts, our communication in that way as well. I think to the divine. We might even notice, yeah, I'm getting like these downloads about just our communication lines opening more and more with the divine too, with this air energy, having that planet in Gemini. Interesting. So yeah, a very powerful shift. That will be interesting to see how that continues to develop. Couple more things to talk about. Okay, so we have the full moon in Capricorn on July 10th. So this is Capricorn, or Capricorns, we love them. They are very grounded, they're very like regimented, they can be very like hermity in a way. It kind of reminds me of Cancer, and I guess Virgo too, but just this energy of like very private souls. It's a very beautiful energy. But having like the moon isn't super comfortable in Capricorn. So when it comes to our feelings and our emotions, I weirdly really enjoy a full moon in Capricorn most of the time, because earth signs do kind of have this like soft, gentle energy to them, similar to water signs. Like, I feel like when I first got into astrology and everything, I didn't really see them as similar, but as things have as my practice has developed, not that I like necessarily see them as similar, I feel like they're very different, but also like there is like this innate sensitivity to them that not mimic water, but they have a similar feel to me, at least, in ways. That being said, I think it's really interesting to take a sign that's not super comfortable in a certain aspect and kind of lean into it. So like having that knowledge of like, wow, a full moon in Capricorn is a very strong experience nonetheless, and it can be kind of uncomfortable, confronting around our emotions, and but leaning into that discomfort, I think, can provide some really powerful breakthroughs, and with that influence of Capricorn on the earthly end of things, I think it can lead to some like tangible shifts, which is really great. So the themes of what we'll be seeing, I think, will be around our sense of responsibility, our sense of structure, our goals, our like internal worlds as well, and kind of how that's parallel to our financial health and our just like our well-being. But yeah, I think just really kind of getting clear on the directions we want to take, and what we need to do to continue to like make things real, which goes along with those themes that I was talking about with Neptune and Saturn. We have Mars conjuncting the South Node in Virgo on July 20th. So that is a really powerful aspect. Anyone with Virgo placements, I think, will definitely be feeling that. I mean, I think everyone is going to be feeling all of this stuff very powerfully. But I think Virgo placements especially may have themes of... Okay, so we have Mars in Virgo, right? That is this energy of fire, masculine energy, that like moving things forward, like getting the job done. I think this influence on in Virgo is really positive for not just Virgos, but for the collective. And this is why, because we have that South Node in Virgo, which is, the South Node is a lot about our past lives, our past karmas, old wounds, like old things that we need to heal, to like move closer to our North Node, and what we're meant to do in this life. And also just like even just confronting like our old lives, like something that doesn't serve us in this life that we need to like let go of. So I think having that South Node in Virgo and then having Mars there with it and conjuncting, I think that is a really, well, and I want to note too, having that full moon in Capricorn illuminating everything that needs to shift, and then this Mars conjunct South Node in Virgo energy, it's like really a powerful push to clear away all that South Node energy, all that past life karma, all that past life people, places, things. And I think that can be really I think that could be really hard for some people. I think that, I mean, it is. Like, that's like, in general, I've noticed this theme throughout this whole year of just like this deep release of like everything that is not truly us, that is not truly in alignment with us. So, yeah, it's really powerful. It's a really powerful thing. Okay. Wow. This is my first video that I'm posting, so let me know how I'm doing in the comments. Feel free to like, subscribe, share. I'm really just trying to go with the flow of my brain and let you know what's coming through for me through spirit, but also through what's actually going on in the astrology. It's kind of a combination of my intuition and collectively what's happening. Okay, let's keep going. So, okay. I'm just checking on one thing of what I want to talk about next. So we talked about Saturn, we talked about... Okay, now I want to talk about... Yeah. We're going to talk about Juno. So Juno is moving direct in Scorpio on July 11th. And we just had a retrograde. And I totally forgot about, like, that this was happening in the background. I was like, if I would have remembered that that was happening in the background, that could have been some useful information. But the Juno retrograde we had from March 19th, 2025, and it continues until July 11th, 2025. Well, it goes direct on July 11th, 2025. So let's start with the retrograde and talk about that for a moment, which again was overlapping all these themes that we had with the Saturn and Neptune energy. And yeah, we're kind of just like, it's like we're circling back. It's like end, beginning, end, beginning, end, beginning. It's what I was saying. Anyways, okay. So the Juno retrograde was this time of pause in regards to our relationships, our commitments. Not necessarily that, like, if you were in a relationship, it means you're necessarily breaking up during this time, but there was just this sacred pause. And what a beautiful time to have a sacred pause. I mean, we just left winter, we were just moving into spring, and then that sacred pause is lifting midsummer. So it was this moment in our relationships where we were reevaluating and kind of playing this tug of war between what we truly desire and want and what is showing up in our reality, and this conflict internally of kind of staying in that South Node energy or wanting to like fully reconcile with that and move forward so we can move into the new chapter. It was literally being like in between one door and the other, the new and the old. And I think a lot of us might have felt this on like a very internal level, a very like feeling of just like deep conflict in terms of our relationships and like really understanding like what we truly want and need and desire. Wow, that poem that I wrote is just like on my mind. I think I'm gonna read it to you. Because the themes are really strong, and this is the one I was talking about earlier called The Cocoon. I'm going to pull it up really quickly. Bear with me here for a second. And here we go. Cocoon. Oh, actually it's called Let the Light In. LOL. I talk about a cocoon though, so here we go. And I want to preference and say that I wrote this in March, which is kind of everything we're reflecting on right now. Okay, it's called Let the Light In. I open my window, gently adjusting the curtains to allow the light to filter in. The breeze feels cool against my skin, reminding me that there is a world outside of my cocoon. Oh, my cocoon, I am so grateful for the way you have held me, soothing all my open wounds, mending my broken wings, allowing my soul to melt back into place. For a moment, somewhere in between the new and the old, I feel one with the universe and its medicine, and in that oneness, I have given her permission to transform me, not for me, but for all of us. As the light filters in, the sun rays dance all around me, reminding me that there is a world waiting for my gifts to be shared. So I felt really called to just share that, because that is like just this theme of this year of like really becoming, completely dissolving who we once were, and dissolving therefore all of these mindsets that came with that old version of us, so that we can become something new, something bright, something beautiful, something that really reflects who we are on the inside. And I think those themes of the Neptune and the Saturn retrogrades and them moving signs, and then we have that Juno retrograde and it going direct, it's kind of reflecting not only the internal shift that we're experiencing, but also the how we're taking that internal experience during that beginning half of the year, and how it was playing out in our relationships, and that reflection, right, between what we were experiencing inside, which I think a lot of us could have been, again, experiencing themes of conflict, inner conflict, about what we want and about who we are fully, and like almost like really knowing in our hearts what we want, but being able to say it out loud and to like stand in it, and to not people please, and not just like be authentic in where we truly are at. So yeah, all in all, I think that Juno retrograde was really just reflecting all the internal shifts that were happening at the same time. And that Juno retrograde was kind of just highlighting how that was showing up in our connections. Ugh, I love when the thought like finally gets out there. I really hope this is all making sense, because it's quite a lot. So we have that moving direct on July 11th, and I think we have really gotten more clear on what it is that we want, right? And now we're going to be moving into like this retrograde season, and we have that Juno going direct, and I think it's going to be this, and then let me note this too, we have a Mercury retrograde happening on July 18th in Leo. And all I really want to say about this is that I think with all these other influences from Saturn, from Neptune, and from Juno, that I think this will be an opportunity to kind of, I think it will be a beautiful Mercury retrograde. I mean, they have their things, whatever, but they also serve a really powerful purpose, and it's all about how you tune into the energy. And I just think these other influences from Saturn, Neptune, Juno will kind of give us an opportunity to reassess how we're communicating to ourselves, and how those communications came through in the past to other people. And I think we'll kind of have maybe some opportunities to kind of set the record straight with maybe people that we've kind of weren't seeing eye to eye. Maybe we're seeing eye to eye, but the communication wasn't coming out in the way that you may have hoped. So I think this will be kind of a nice opportunity to clear up any miscommunications, which is funny that I'm saying that, right? But retrogrades are kind of an opportunity to reassess, to rethink, to not always take action, but yeah, even if we're not, I do think there will be those opportunities where past people may come up, and we have those opportunities to recommunicate from a clearer place inside. But also this opportunity to at least reconcile with ourselves how we feel about things. Yeah. I think that got the point across. And what else? So the last thing I want to know really is for July. We do have on July 30th Chiron going retrograde, and this kind of I'm really excited to kind of end on this note, because we have Chiron is the wounded healer, so it is the planet of like if you look in your chart and the zodiac sign it is at or is in, and the house and degrees that it's at, that can give you an opportunity to kind of understand or maybe connect the dots to your personal wounds in your childhood, and how they're kind of showing up in your chart and in your life. But the wounded healer is when we can take our wounds and transmute them into wisdom, and guidance for our own souls, and maybe even for others. Not maybe even, yes, for others. Because when we learn and we heal, that naturally, just by existing, that naturally has an impact on others. Anyways, but yeah, this Chiron retrograde is gonna overlap the influences of the Saturn and Neptune retrograde, and I think it's really interesting that Chiron retrogrades in Aries, but it stays in Aries, so it never dips back into that Piscean energy. And I kind of like this, because I feel like Chiron I'm seeing as this like lens, okay? It's the lens of which we are seeing all these wounds, all these little like dots on the board that need to be healed. How else? What other metaphors can I use for that? Just like it's like our map. It's like our map of like what needs to be healed. And I think it being in Aries is really powerful, because again, I think that's like that self-empowerment energy of like, you can do this. I think of Mars, and Mars is ruled by Aries, and it's just that like pushing things forward. Anyways, not that I think it's going to be an energy of pushing things forward, because all of these planets are in retrograde, but I think it's more so going to act as like this spotlight, showing you the dust on a table, and you're like, oh, I actually didn't get all of that. Let me clean that up. Anyways, I think it's really interesting that Saturn and Neptune will be dipping back into Pisces, but that Chiron's going to stay in Aries, so I feel like it does act as that kind of like keeping the eye on the prize of like this is where I'm going. Like that Aries energy, it's like the light at the end of the tunnel. Like that's where I'm headed. Like it's almost interesting too that like Saturn and Neptune then are gonna make their way home for now, into Aries. And Chiron's kind of just like waiting for them. And it's like that wounded healer, like just waiting for them. It just, it's kind of cute. Wait. That's funny. So yeah, just a really beautiful energy of like this, just this year is just such a potent year of like transformation and healing and stepping into our authenticity and finding more internal peace. And yeah, I hope that you all use this energy and feel empowered and just feel like, wow, I just got a nice little overview of the year. Like that's how I feel after I listened to an astrology breakdown for a month of just like, okay, like I have this roadmap of like, it just helps things like make sense, you know? We love that. So, all right, this is my first video. How exciting! I hope you guys enjoyed. Please, again, let me know in the comments like your experiences, anything you want to tell me, any little advice you might have for me as I'm just getting started, just in terms of maybe how the video went or how the sound is and all that good stuff. Make sure to like, subscribe, and come back for more existing in love. Is there anything else I want to say? Keep an eye out for your personal zodiac sign video. I'm going to do, hopefully tomorrow, monthly readings with tarot for all the zodiac signs. So you have this nice little astrology overview that included pieces of the whole year, but mainly focused on July. So feel free to watch this, and then we're gonna dive into all your zodiac signs, and I'm sure I will be mentioning these little things throughout the videos. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I'm excited to see how everything unfolds. And I just want to quickly share for anyone who wants to stick around and hear about this. I did this mural for this channel. It is a tree of life, kind of like an abstract, unique tree, of course. And trees are just a really like powerful symbolism for me in my work, due to some different spiritual experiences and just my connection to the divine and my guides, my loved ones that have passed over, and yeah, so this is just very symbolic to my journey and how I got here, and to my connection to the divine, and I'm sure one day I'll share more about the whole journey, definitely in a book one day, but maybe on the channel. But yeah, I'm just feeling a lot of gratitude right now to finally be putting my work out there and to be talking to everybody. So yeah, have a good night. Well, have a good day. Who knows? It's YouTube. Alright, I'll see you guys soon.